Hello, hello. Welcome in, everybody. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there and to all the mothers playing double roles as well. Happy Father's Day to you guys. Um, Wanted to hop on stream, kind of talk through some things and jump into a DK draft. So we're going to go ahead and bring the draft up now. Um, Already joined in here. Should be almost full, 10 out of 12. But, I considered doing this thing on a record. That way I could just kind of, hop in and talk to you guys and edit out all the BS and me stuttering and pausing and all that kind of good stuff. But, you know, it's Father's Day. I wanted to talk about this a little bit because I never really got to know my father. Mother had her own issues, right? And uh, dad was just never really in the picture. And when he was in the picture, he wasn't the best individual. Ooh, we got the 101. Look at that. Being honest on draft day here and getting the 101. So we'll take it. But never really got to know my dad, and the parts of him that I did get to know, I wish I had not. So I wanted to jump on the stream, for the guys out there, for the gals out there who are kind of struggling today, whether you be a single mom, trying to play both roles, or you're a single dad trying to play both roles, um, or you're just a guy that can't have kids or never got married or whatever the case was. Like, you know, I feel that too, and wanted to get on here and give you guys kind of an outlet, just to hang out for a little bit. So, enough doom and gloom, but I hope that you guys are having a good day, regardless of how it's going, whether you're hanging out with the kids or you're hanging out with me here. Hope you guys are having a good day, good weekend. Um, Long week at work for me this week. Feels like I've worked in a couple of instances in my life where you just have that one coworker, right? That, like, no matter what you do, that person, you're just never going to get through to them. And I have that person that works with me now, and man, am I just I'm over it, but at the same time, like, I love what I do, and I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. But at the same time, I wish I could get that person to realize, you know, not everyone hates them, and everyone would hate them a lot less if they wouldn't act the way that they're acting. Draft starts in 15 seconds here. Looking at the 101, I think that I'm starting to see CD jump over the top of Christian McCaffrey a lot. Um, and I think if you don't start taking CD Lamb now, you're not going to get a lot of CD Lamb. And I actually like Dallas a lot this year, and I'm afraid that CMC got burned out a little bit last year with all the work. So I'm actually going to take CD Lamb at the one. CMC, CD Lamb, Tyreek Hill. I think those are the only three guys that I would take at the 101. But we're going to take CD here, and then we'll talk a little bit before the draft gets back around to us for the next pick. So CD Lamb goes off the board for us at the 101. Scroll up here a bit so you guys can see what's going on. But yeah, just have this one coworker that CMC at the 103. Wow, that no matter what we do, I just can't get along with her. It just is what it is. Different people have different personalities, and hers and I's just they just don't mix. Wow. Okay. So CMC goes at the 103. Bijan Robinson at the 106. So Jefferson's going to fall to the 7 here, I would imagine. Good little play unless this guy reaches. It looks like this could be a good room on Father's Day. We might have to remember to jump in here next year. Um, yeah, hopefully this isn't like the wow, he's going to drop to the 8. You know, I'm not sure, how many people watch this or how many people that watch this know me, or and that kind of thing. It's just getting started, but um, did a deployment. I was in service in the early 2000s and did a deployment and came back. Um, you know, Sad in the moment, but funny now is as I get back. We're standing on the tarmac. We're doing our little formations. We're hanging out. Everybody's talking, whatever the case is. And typically you have like a formation of service members when they get back, right? Everybody wants to stand up and say their little piece and talk and whatever, and then um, you have like almost a formation of families just waiting for the soldiers to get released, and they can run over and give hugs and say hi and whatever the case is. Um, so, like I said before, I never really got to know my dad, and my mom was always more interested in other things, let's say, than her kids. And um, I remember they released us from formation. All these guys run over, they start hugging their families, they're kissing, they're crying. Everybody's all happy, whatever the case is. And there's like seven of us that nobody's there for, whatever the case is. So they load you on a bus. We hop on this bus. I remember I was the last guy on. Um, Six faces looking at me like, everybody on the bus is just like, damn it, nobody loves me. Nothing's going on here. I'm just here by myself. And we know we're about to go do a detail because that's just what it was at the time. Hurricane Katrina and Rita were about to get ready to hit. So it was not a good time anyways. And I hop on the bus and I'm just like, hey, welcome to the Nobody Loves You bus. And, you know, it's all about how you handle bad times. Life is, it's about perspective. And um, my life has changed so much since that point, and so much for the better. And um, I've just always stay even keel, right? This too shall pass. If you're having a good time, it's going to pass. If you're having a bad day, it's going to pass. Just stick with it. So if you guys are out there having a good day or a bad day on Father's Day, if you're having the bad day, just know it's going to pass. If you're having the good day, it's going to pass too. So enjoy that. Enjoy that time. We're going to hop back over to the player page here. We're coming back up on the clock at the 2-3 turn. Jalen Waddle would have been my pick there. Um, Another reason I like going CD at the 1 is because, to me, I would rather have an A Chain or a Kyron Williams than a Mike Evans on DK, right? So if you're on underdog and you want to go CMC, you know, I'm perfectly cool with that because touchdown oriented play, that kind of deal. But over on DraftKings, like A Chain at the 24, you know, I'm perfectly fine with that. We're gonna go ahead and queue A Chain up, and then who do they play week 17? Dallas gets Philly, and they get the Jets, right? No, Cleveland. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna go A Chain at 24, and I think we're probably gonna go, since this is PPR. Um, I'm actually gonna get off the board here. I'm gonna go 2 running backs. I don't recommend doing this a lot, but since we went CD at the 1, I'm gonna go A Chain and Kyron Williams, and I'm gonna just assume that they're gonna go ham this season. Um, and we're gonna load up on receiver and go probably 4, maybe 5 running backs because we're gonna assume that Achan and Kyron have the years that we think they're gonna have when we make those bets. I talk about a lot of this stuff in poker terms, in that, you know, I'm betting that CD Lamb is an ace. I'm betting that Devon Achane is an ace. I'm betting that Kyron Williams is an ace. And if all of those things are correct, then we've opened up this, you know, ability to, how many aces do you need at the running back position? 3 aces? Maybe throw in a jack and a 7 and 8, and you should be fine. If your aces are aces, they're going to carry you a lot of the season. Um, and then if you want to throw in a jack that covers if when your aces have an off week, cool. I'm okay with that. And then at the same token, if you have a couple of, if you have 1 8 to a 10, or 2 8s to a 10, and those guys fill in as well, like, I think you're good to go, especially with the 20 slots over on DK. I think that sets up well. And then you just load up at receiver as much as humanly possible, which I just looked at my new rankings that I'm working on right now, which I can get those over to anyone who might be interested in them. But somehow it just exactly worked out that there's 240 players that I'm interested in. I have um, two major tiers that I look at. I'm not taking anyone in tier two before I take everyone in tier one, kind of thing. Um, and there was 75 receivers, I think, if I recall, and there was 40 running backs, I think it was. So yeah, we're uh, we're golden at that rate. Going to take a look at round three. So far we have C.D. Lamb, Devon A. Chain, and Kyron Williams. There are a lot of receivers coming off the board right now, which is going to make this build tough. I was hoping some people would get squirrely since I went to running backs. So looking at round three, we got Kyron at the 1, Josh Allen at the 2, Mike Evans, Malik Neighbors, who I like a lot, Debo, Devonta Smith, who I like a lot, Cooper Kupp, I like a lot, Laporta, I'm fine with. Metcalf prefer on underdog. Diggs, I'm a little bit lower. DJ Moore, I'm a little bit lower. Michael Pittman, I would not want until like round 5. So I don't have a lot of Pittman right now at all. But nothing weird that I'm seeing off the board so far. Nothing really like too off the board. Gibbs, Harrison, Pittman, Wilson, Barkley, Moore, Nakua, London, Diggs, AJ Brown, Olave, Metcalf, same. I don't love the Jefferson, Taylor, Laporta, but I don't hate it. See the guy at the end's going with the Cardinal stack. Say Flowers comes off the board. I'm not high on Flowers, to be honest with you, this year. I like Pacheco, but again, at that price, I prefer it on underdog. Same with ETN. Like I'm not huge on ETN this year. I'll kind of move it up so you guys can see round 4. Mahomes. Is that unstacked Mahomes? Yeah, I don't know what that guy's doing currently. I mean, maybe he can rebound, but whatever, Hurts, is that unstacked or is that Devonta's? No, that is unstacked Hurts. That makes no sense. So Pickens, we're going to flip back over to the player page so we can kind of start working out who we want. I'd love for Tank Dell to fall right here, if that's possible. I doubt it, but here's Christian Kirk. So maybe Tank can fall. Ideally we want to go double receiver here, which right now it kind of looks like we're going to be able to do that. T. Higgins was the receiver I did not want, so that helps us out a ton. So this guy that I'm going to tee up first here, and obviously you guys can see that on your screen, Amari Cooper was the gentleman that really helped me out last year. That 55-point week really helped to catapult me into week 17 into the finals, and the $44 on DK ended up pocketing $40K from that single contest. So we got, I think we're going to go either Hollywood or Dalton Kincaid. I like the idea that Kincaid is going to get a ton of catches. The only problem is I don't want to be short at receiver. And I think that given the we're gonna go Hollywood. And I'll explain that. So we're gonna go Hollywood because I think that there's gonna already be a natural run on tight end because the top tight ends kind of come off the board in the first 7-8 rounds. And if we can go Marquise Brown here and get access to that KC offense with Mahomes, and then if we can come back and get, a Ferguson Dak stack in a couple of rounds, I think that's going to be the way that we'll have maximized the play there. Because if you take Kincaid, it boxes you out of Ferguson because you're going to need receivers since we went double running back early. Hopefully that made sense and didn't confuse you guys. Guy pulls off the Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews flip. That's a really good discount on those guys. Anything crazy coming off the board so far? So we got Lamb, A-Chain, Kyron, Cooper, and Hollywood for us. Tyreek, Derrick Henry, like him better on underdog. Josh Allen, fine. Tank Dell, I like. Jaden Reed, fine. CMC, Kelsey, Mike Evans, Higgins, McLaurin, not terrible. Chase, Waddle, Neighbors, Lamar Jackson, Andrews, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Amon Ra, Ayuk, Debo, Kirk, Jacobs. So keep an eye on that guy for Purdy. That should save us if we have to come back and get Ferguson before we get Dak. Robinson, Adams, Devonta, Pickens, Kincaid, whatever. I guess I don't know why the guy Reed didn't go Kincaid. I assume he's probably in the same boat that I was, that he didn't want to get off receiver multiple times in the first few rounds. Brees, Nico, Cooper Cup, Hurts, Rashad White. Like, make it make sense. Jefferson, Taylor, Laporte, he got way too far off the board wide receiver. He's going to be dead by round 10. AJ Brown, Olave, Metcalf, ETN, James Cook. It's whatever. Puka, Drake London, Diggs, Pacheco, Mixon. I prefer that roster a lot more on underdog. Garrett Wilson, Barkley, DJ Moore, Flowers, Pitts. I don't know why I'm reading this to you guys like you guys can't read. Why would you go Anthony Richardson? Kyler's not off the board, right? So you have to Kyler. That makes no sense. I mean, I understand the Pittman pick, but you don't have to stack your top receivers with your quarterback. Josh Downs, essentially free for him. AD Mitchell, essentially free. Like, if you're going to reach for a quarterback, which I would not have done, I would have pushed Kyler if you think you can get Kyler later on, but I'm not going to. I mean, maybe he got auto drafted, but to me, that makes no sense. So CJ Stroud comes off the board with a Mixon Diggs pairing. Who could this guy go with? He's going to go late quarterback now. Should go late quarterback with Geno and the possibility of Derek Carr. Does anybody else think of Derek Carr and automatically get him confused with his brother? I legitimately can't remember. Is it Derek or David? Calvin Ridley comes off the board. All right, we're going to go ahead and after this pick, we're going to flip back over to the player page and kind of look around, see what we might want. I like having the one because it gives us so much time to kind of talk through things. Whereas if I'm in the middle of doing a stream, especially a solo stream, I'm spending most of my time trying to work out my own picks. Man, I don't love the top of this board right here. Yeah. I think we're getting ready to do something kind of off the board, but I'm not sure if you guys have watched my other streams or not, but I'm going to have so many teams by the time we get to week 1, hundreds of teams, that I want to do some things differently. And when I don't love an area, I'm okay, just reaching ahead. Don't love Keon Coleman, don't love Xavier Worthy. I mean, George Kittle's great, don't get me wrong, but I'd much rather prefer him on underdog. Lad McConkey could be really great or nothing. Evan Ingram, fine. Jordan Addison, don't love the quarterback play. Rome Odunze, love the player, don't love the situation really. I think that he could be in a situation that loses out on playing time. And I'm much higher on Dak. So I think we're going to roll. We're going to go ahead and do it. I don't love it, but, we're only reaching a few picks here. So I'm going to go Dak. And we're going to go ahead and get Ferguson as well. Like I said, don't love doing that, but I think that fills out our starters minus the flex. And it does. Don't love doing that. I'd much rather push it another round if possible, but DK, from what I've seen so far, can get squirrely at times, and people just start taking quarterbacks because they freak out. So, was that through 7? Through 7, we have CeeDee Lamb, Devon Achane, Kyron Williams, Amari Cooper, Marquise Brown, Dak Prescott, and Jake Ferguson. Um, it's one of those bills that like I'm cool with it being in the portfolio. Like I don't have anything that um, that really jumps off the board as far as value wise or anything that I'm loving, but it's just one of those things that like it's fine, you know. Um, like obviously I like CD the most, and then round two I get A Chain the last pick. So okay, flip it to round three, I get Kyron. I mean, maybe Neighbors for me, maybe Cooper Cup. The rest of that round, I think I'd rather prefer Kyron, so I'm okay with that. Last pick in round four, Cooper, fine. Um, moving into the next round, I like some of those running backs, but we went running back early. So, and I actually prefer every one of the running backs outside of Rashad White and James Cook on underdog. I'd much rather have Mixon and Josh Jacobs on underdog versus DK. The Dak pick, I'm fine with because I don't look at anybody, moving into this next round that I'm like, oh man, I just had to have them. Ferguson is fine. I don't like taking him above Kittle, but I do think he outscores Kittle. So in that instance, I'm okay with it. Like if I came to you and you're thinking about position eligibility as it relates to scoring, is Jake Ferguson more important at a one-off position or a Keon Coleman or an unstacked Burrow or the third wide receiver? Although I do like his talent, skill set on an offense that has Keenan Allen, who's going to eat up a lot of targets, and DJ Moore, who's going to eat up a lot of targets. George Kittle, the target competition there is crazy. You're going to get weeks where you get 30 points out of George Kittle. You're going to get weeks where you get 3 points out of George Kittle. Deontay Johnson, I'm actually higher on DK, and I think I'm higher than the field on him just because I think he's going to get peppered with targets. Evan Ingram, I think is going to be status quo. Evan Ingram, I value him as much as Ferguson, but I already had the Dallas stack working, so that's why we went Ferguson. Christian Watson, not high on his hamstring, doesn't like him either. Lad McConkey is fine, but we don't know anything about Lad McConkey. He could be great. The guy's from 30 minutes from me. He could be great or he could be nothing in that offense. We just don't know. James Conner, you know, been a very solid option, but I feel like I can get guys later on that are the same player. Jordan Addison, it's just kind of a yawn and move on pick. Kyler Murray, he already went Anthony Richardson. I think you don't go Anthony Richardson early. I don't think this is the year of double hero quarterback. Jackson Smith and Jigba's fine. Brian Thomas, fine. J-Mo, fine. Swift, fine. Mostert, eh. That Bossier team, he might win 1.5 million, but in my mind, that team is almost dead already. Anybody hanging out? If anybody's hanging out, shoot me a message. Let me know what's going on Father's Day. I doubt anyone is here, but like I said, in case anybody's having a bad day, I just wanted to hop on and kind of talk it out with you guys. So I know where we want to go up top here. There's a couple of plays that we really like. If we get, what I'm hoping for here, then we're going to go immediately to heavy, heavy, heavy receiver in the next few rounds. If what I think falls to us, we need this person to take this person and the next person to take very specific people. That helped. That guaranteed that we can do what we want to do. I wanted Najee. I'm not going to lie. I did want Najee Harris. That was my number one pick in this little area right here. What we're going to do now is we're essentially going to close out running back. Again, I don't love this build, but we're going to stack a ton of receivers later. So we're going to go Jalen Warren and we're going to go Tony Pollard. So I don't love having a green that is higher than a yellow. And what I mean by that is I don't like having 4 running backs and 3 receivers. That's a death sentence through the first 9. But what I am going to do is, since I've overcorrected in the beginning of the draft, I'm going to be intelligent. I'm going to overcorrect in the end of the draft. So we're going to play as though Dallas is going to be the number one offense all season long. And we're going to stack the crap out of some receivers now. So our next probably 4 to 6 picks, 5 of those will be, well, 4 of them will be receivers if we go 4, but if we go 6, 5 of the 6 will probably be wide receiver. Hard to get 5 out of 4. You could try it though. You never know. I'm never going to keep anyone from living out their dreams unless they're ugly and they're dreaming about me, at which point I'll have to think about it unless there's money involved. So through, what is that, 9? Through 9, we have CeeDee Lamb, Devon Achane, Kyron Williams, Amari Cooper, Hollywood Brown, Dak Prescott, Jake Ferguson, Jalen Warren, and Tony Pollard. Yeah, the Pollard pick I kind of like more and more the more guys I'm seeing coming off the board here because I'm not huge on Brock Bowers just because if you go Gardner Minshew starting, he just doesn't go through his reads. If you think back to last season, how many targets that Michael Pittman Jr. had, he had a billion. Don't quote me on that, but I mean it was pretty close to a billion targets. Just Gardner Minshew gets locked on, and there it is. That's what it is. Way too early for, in my opinion, way too early for Goff. Way too early for Austin Eckler. Way too early for Trevor Lawrence. I don't love Bowers, but whatever. At tight end, unless he already had a tight end. If he already has a tight end, I don't like it at all. Which he does not, so I'm okay with it. Whatever. You know. And then Lockett, whatever. Njoku, fine. Don't love Njoku with Kelsey. I just don't think you need it. If Kelsey's your alpha, and that's like I said earlier, right? So if we're talking about poker lingo here, if you're talking about Kelsey's an ace, then why do you want a jack at a one-off position? I know you have the flex, but how many times is Njoku going to see the flex over a player like Devin Singletary? Right? I mean, just think about that. I mean, if you think Njoku averages 13 points a game, and he might, okay, I'm not going to argue with you. I think they're both the jacks in the end. But if you have an ace at that one-off position, you don't need another jack. You need a couple of 7-8s, and that's it. Because, I mean, what does he have at the running back position? Jonathan Brooks, Christian McCaffrey, so is an ace and a 10, given Brooks' injury status. So I think you just add Singletary and you come back later on with a 7 or 8 or a couple of 7-8s, and you stack them up with Kelsey. Looks like quite the run on receiver. I do see a couple of things I want to do here. So there's also a lot of running backs I like in this area too. So I'm hoping that there's a nice run on running backs here. That would be my hope. There goes one, Javonte Williams. If anybody knows what the hell that New Orleans is going to do this season, like, I don't know how that coach has a job. I think that coach has a job because they know they're in such cap hell that they're like, man, we can't bring anybody else in, one, and two, nobody else is going to want to coach this shit. And then by the time he fixes it or attempts to fix it and we get out of cap hell, he's gone. Like he stands no chance of one, landing another position in the NFL, and two, he stands no chance that if they get the number one pick after they get out of cap hell, he's done. No chance he makes it into the next regime, the next QB. That is who we wanted. We wanted Josh Palmer. That sucks. Man, we really are going to close out running back. I said 5 of the next 6, and that's what it's going to end up being. Because we're actually going to go Zeke. And I think he's going to catch a lot of passes with Rico. I think Rico's going to be great too, but yeah, don't love that at all. And then at our receivers, what's our bye weeks looking like? 7, 10, and 6. So we're open there. I think just dome play and terrible defenses within the division, I think is going to lead us to Rashid Shaheed. Not high on him, but if he gets 10, 12 points a game in that offense, it should be kinda condensed? Question mark. I am Ron Burgundy. Um, yeah, don't love this team so far, and that's coming from the one. I think I just what could I have done differently that I would have liked though? I, I prefer CD in Lamb one or CD in round one. Round two, I didn't get a choice, so I got A Chain, right? So I'm cool with that. Kyron, maybe Malik Neighbors, maybe Cup. Cooper fell to me. I start off the next round with Hollywood. I prefer Hollywood, maybe Chris Godwin, but I mean, I prefer Hollywood, so why? The next round fell to me with Dak, but I prefer Dak over like the only player I can consider taking over Dak right there is Deontay Johnson for me. And then Ferguson, that just continued the stack. Warren fell. Pollard, like, would you rather have Tony Pollard, Tyler Lockett, or Romeo Dobbs? Like, that's Pollard for me 100 times out of 100. I wanted Josh Palmer. He didn't fall. So we go Zeke. And then Rashid Shaheed, Jacoby Myers, Jerry Judy. Like, you pick. Also, can you guys please stop picking Nick Chubb? Another player that's from like an hour from me, but I just don't think you're going to get the same guy. And if you do, what are you getting? Do you think you're going to draft Nick Chubb and then all of a sudden you're just getting like, what if round one, round two turn Nick Chubb from a couple of years ago? This is not what you're going to get. You're much rather have Jerome Ford, much rather have Charbonnet, much rather have Dwaddle, much rather have Jerry Judy at this point. If I'm picking Chubb, we're talking about round 16 before I think it starts making sense because I think max he scores 100 fantasy points. So, Quorum is a question mark, but if he gets a chance, he's going to be an ace. Myers is fine. He's probably going to score 150, 170. Chase Brown, I'm not high on at all, but 112, 122. Chubb, maybe 100. Ford's probably looking at like 150, 170. Judy's probably about 130, 150. Charbonnet could be an ace with an injury. Dalton Schultz, not high on. Kirk Cousins is fine, not high on him. I think Dwaddle is a good pick in that round, like one of the best picks in that round. And the AD Mitchell could be great if Pittman goes down, or he could be nothing. We don't know. Coming back around to us here, we're gonna get ready, go over to the player page. We need receiver. To Mike. Wow. Okay. Mike Williams just went off the board. Another turn here where receiver heavy, but I do see some, or I'm sorry, not receiver heavy, running back heavy. I do see some things that we want to do though. Wicks would have been great. Taysom Hill would have been great. We're gonna go Mooney first. Man, it gets ugly quick at receiver, huh? Like Stafford, don't have anything to pair it with. Freiermuth, I could see having a good year, but do we go Freiermuth and go no other tight ends? We already have enough running backs. I like Condre Miller. I like Ty Chandler. Part of me thinks Thielen, but I could see Thielen falling way, 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 way off this year. I think we're going to go ahead and close out tight end as well. And we're going to take Pat Freiermuth. So this team is getting way off the rails. So what was that, 11 rounds? 13 rounds, wow. CD, Devon A. Chain, Kyron Williams, Amari Cooper, Marquise Hollywood Brown, Dak Prescott, Jake Ferguson, Jalen Warren, Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, Rashid Shaheed, Darnell Mooney, Pat Fryermuth. Who's the winners of this thing, man? Gibbs, Harrison, Pittman, McBride, Richardson, Kamara, Murray, Smith and Jigba, Dobbs, Sutton, AD, and I was liking it until I read Hawkinson. I'm not big on Hawkinson either. I think even if he comes back, you're not going to get real Hawkinson. So, like, no thanks. Wilson, Barkley, DJ Moore, Flowers, Pitts, Keenan Allen, Addison, Thomas. I think you just have a bunch of guys, you know. Puka, London, Diggs, Pacheco, Mixon, Stroud, Connor, JMO, Jaden Daniels, Brian Robson, Cousins, John Dotson. It's fine. I don't really need to read even the rest of that team. I don't like it. Quentin Johnson, Jalen Wright, Charbonnet, Cook, Spears, Mostert, Watson, Ridley, Godwin, Mahomes, Laporta, whatever. Brees, Nico, Cup, Hurts, Rashid Shaheed, Hopkins, Ingram, Samuel, Eckler, Goddard, Judy, Davis, Thielen. Like, fine. I think we might be okay just because I don't see any teams that I'm like, man, I really love that build. You know, CMC, Kelsey, Evans, Higgins, McLaurin. Like, he's picked a lot of really good players at really good values. So maybe that helps the guy at the 3 hole. But I'm not like, I don't love the team. It's just kind of one of those things again where it's just like, it is what it is. Anybody watching this thing? Anybody at all? Am I just in here talking to myself on Father's Day? Yeah, we'll have to go receiver here. I mean, we're gonna have to start going like even if it's reaching for guys, we got to start getting our receiver numbers up. Dobbins, we're already in that area. Like I don't love Ben Sinnott. I'm hoping I start to see a lot of those guys that were taking wide receiver early taking running back now, and that looks like that's kind of where we're at. Which we're good. I'm perfectly fine with the 5 running backs that we have. Like Zeke, who's probably going to play 60% of Dallas's offensive snaps as my running back 5. I'm 100% fine with that. And we're done at tight end. I think maybe take one more real late, but like for the most part, we're done at receiver, or I'm sorry, running back, and we're done at tight end. I am seeing a bunch of red though, so we're gonna have to see who's left at quarterback and who can we. Yeah. Well, never mind. There goes Deshaun Watson. Mm-hmm. That is not a fun click. Go Russ really late and just get crazy with it, depending on receiver. Running back, we don't really need. I like Chuba Hubbard's value right there. Some guys out there. Yeah, keep taking everybody but receiver. Thank you. Thanks, management. Do you have a secondary idea? There you go. Take Xavier Leggett. Don't want it. Don't like it. Bzamet. You know you want Gino. Rashad Bateman. Monty Vidal. You know you want some Bucky Irwin in your life. All right. We're going to take Jermaine Burton. Replaces Tyler Boyd in that offense. So we're going to go Jermaine Burton. Next up, we're going to tag Wanda Robinson, which in that offense, I just think he's going to get a lot of targets with Malik Neighbors. I think that offense might be better than what people think. We do have Roman Wilson that we could go also just to tag with. Actually, that's what we're going to do. Pivot, late pivot, because we have Fryermuth. So if we get locked out of quarterback, we can go Fields or Russ and still feel okay with it. Whereas if somebody takes Daniel Jones reaching, whereas we don't have any other Giants players, like I don't want to get locked out. So, 12 through 15, we have CeeDee Lamb, Devon Achane, Kyron Williams, Amari Cooper, Hollywood Brown, Dak Prescott, Jake Ferguson, Jalen Warren, Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, Rashid Shaheed, Darnell Mooney, Pat Fryermuth, Jermaine Burton, and Roman Wilson. We also went Wilson based on the fact that, like, rookie receiver, right? So if Pickens goes down, like, Roman Wilson's going to be insanely good as far as a value standpoint. He might not be good on the field, so that part might not work out. But, good, strong player comp for Roman Wilson. I can't remember exactly who it is. Let me pull up my page here. Roman Wilson's player comp via Player Profiler, which if you haven't checked out Player Profiler, pretty cool site. Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. So Roman Wilson's Player Profiler comp, which again, if you haven't checked out Player Profiler, please go check them out. Pretty decent player. Maybe you've heard of him. Stephon Diggs. So if you're telling me I get Stephon Diggs, early Steph Diggs in round 15, I'm probably not going to complain about it. So many picks we have? 4 or 5 picks? 1, 2, 3, 5 picks left, and we need. What are we sitting on? Where's the breakdown? So we need 5 picks left. We probably need 2 quarterbacks, maybe 1. So 1 tight end, 2 running backs, 2 quarterbacks gets us there. Because I think we're good at running back. Although I didn't realize that Achane and Williams had the same bye week. But luckily, no one else does. So, okay. That's fine. We lucked out a bit there on the bye week situation. We'll scroll back up and give you guys a good look at the bottom of the board here. I wish we would quit scrolling the entire freaking page up because without seeing my name right there, I don't get any kind of noise updates because I don't want to bug the stream. Guy in the 12 holes going rookie running back crazy. Ray Davis, Bucky Irvin, and Tracy. Although I think Tracy's a really good pick right now. I have way too much Bucky Irving, so I can't take any more Bucky Irving. I made myself that promise this morning. I don't like Rachaad White as a player, and I just think that Rachaad White's going to end up being fine, or Bucky Irvin's going to just end up being Rachaad White part 2 and not very good. I do prefer Bucky Irving on a PPR side, though, because he is a good receiving back. We'll probably go our backup quarterback here. Maybe. Flip back over and all of our ranks. Like, I don't understand why Geno's falling so far in drafts. I have an idea. And I don't have many of those that ever amount to anything, but it is what it is. There's 2 things that we can do here if the board falls correctly. Which it may. We need it to fall back again, though. I know that makes no sense to you guys, but trust me, I'm working some shit out in my head right now. We're going to go Danny Dimes because I think he can have some spike weeks. And we're actually also going to go Drake May. And we're going to get out of the Pittsburgh situation. I still don't mind the Pittsburgh picks that we have. I just don't have to stack it. And now that locks us up to where we have 8, 15, 16, 17. 18, 19, 20. So we need 2 receivers and a tight end. So we're gonna go ahead and kinda comb through and get our guys in order. So I'm perfectly fine with these guys. Um, actually, yeah, gonna move that for the stack purposes. I don't mind Tolbert for the stacking purposes. So we're gonna move Tolbert actually to the top of the full DAX stack. Don't mind Slayton, don't mind Hyatt. So we're gonna move Slayton up for the stacking purposes. We're gonna move Hyatt up for stacking purposes. And a guy that I really like that nobody else does. Okay, I like Rondell Moore. Didn't know he was down here. Malik Washington already gone. Oh, there he is. So we're gonna just put him down there just in case everything falls through the damn floor. But I do like Malik Washington as a prospect. And then here we can go with Theo Johnson like real late for the stack with Daniel Jones was the idea behind that. And then Drake May, really interesting prospect that we might be able to hit a home run this late in the draft, taking a quarterback that is a player comp of Josh Allen. So where are we at draft board wise? And we'll come through. We'll walk through all the teams at the very end here, and we'll just kind of give our quick thoughts on each team. I think we're just getting to that part of the draft where it's just this is where you either hit a home run, you win the draft. Like, if CMC goes down, although he did take CMC, so I don't know why you would take Eli Mitchell. That's drafting. That's a yearly player, a yearly drafter coming over to best ball. Like, please don't take handcuffs in best ball. You want to bet as though you're right. If CMC, who you took it, did he take? I can't remember if he took CMC at 2, but if he took CMC at 2, which I don't think that he did now that I'm thinking about it, I think he took Tyreek. So in that case, I'm fine with it. But if he had taken CMC, I don't want Mitchell because if CMC fails, I don't want the backup because I don't want CMC to fail. I don't want to bet as though I'm failing, if that makes sense. So if you take CMC, don't take the backup. The only running back spot that I can think of that I would be okay taking both would be a spot like Pittsburgh, where Najee Harris has 200 fantasy point standalone value, and Jalen Warren has 160 to 180 fantasy point standalone value. And if they both have a great year, wonderful. But I'm okay with taking them together. This is the only position, the only running back position, backfield I can think of off the top of my head where I would want both players at their current value. The only one that I would consider because they're so different would be Kamara and Kendre Miller, however you say his name. I did not want to see a late run on wide receivers because there's 2 of our guys going off the board. Jatavian Sanders, I appreciate that. Thank you for taking him. And we'll flip back over Chase Claypool. You can have that all day long. So we just need these top guys to just take some running backs. Take some running backs, reach on some quarterbacks, maybe get your little tight end action going. Wonderful. Absolutely just beautiful. Thank you. That guarantees us 2 of the receivers. Damn it. So I like this guy a lot. I think he has a chance to. He has the body type of like Anquan Bolden to me. And I think that if he gets the chance, he might be pretty good. Could be a 0. But we're going to take Javon Baker. And then Darius Slayton is just, for this level of pick, he's just been very consistent. So we're going to go Darius Slayton. And then, wow, oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad we got Slayton because Theo Johnson was the late round, like last ditch tight end that I wanted to consider. Could go a 4 QB bill, but I don't love it. I don't understand the Theo Johnson thing. Was that can't be the same guy that took Kelsey, right? Right? Yeah. Huh. Okay. We'll talk about the teams at the end. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. We're almost done anyway. So, um, yeah, a bunch of just guys. Of this round so far, I think the best two picks are probably, now it's probably Russ, because if you get a decent season out of Russ, 15 points a game, that's pretty good. Then Slayton, and then probably Kendrick Bourne, even though he's coming off an injury. So if you get regular Kendrick Bourne, pretty good. Theo Johnson could have a big year given the Waller news, but who knows? Labe has to have at least one running back go down before he becomes any kind of standalone value, I think. Maybe gets a couple of carries a game right now. But if Madison's healthy and Zamir White's healthy, the Raiders typically just, with Josh Jacobs especially, they just put out the bell cow back, and that's what it was. Eric Gray, not huge on. Josh Reynolds is fine. I think you're probably looking at like somewhere between 3 and 6 fantasy points most of the weeks on Josh Reynolds. Gray could be a 0. Kadarius Toney, if I was Andy Reid, would be a 0. Eric Bailey, you trying to hit a home run, I get it. Russ is fine. Madison's whatever. I'd much rather have Malik Washington this late than Odell Beckham. So for anybody who's taking Odell Beckham, good luck. This is like Odell Beckham's pretty much become what Julio was at the end of his career. Although Julio actually some weeks was useful. You're probably going to see Beckham through like week 3, and then he's going to peace out. Lave's fine. Theo Johnson, whatever. Sam Darnold, like, could be fine. Could be a 0. Lazard, probably going to be a 0. Bellinger, there's another tight end I'd much rather have. It's still on the board currently. Jonathan Mingo is probably going to be nearly a 0. I don't like. I love this last picks just because they work out because the guys I want are still there. But I just don't see the logic, or I don't see the upside for a lot of these guys. Like, what's Sam Darnold's upside, knowing that they just drafted a guy high in JJ McCarthy? Like, sure, but name the last Bengals tight end that has been worth a damn, even under Burrow. Kraft is fine, but injured already, and so many mouths to feed in Green Bay. Gardner Minshew is hot garbage. Jalen Hyatt is fine, but could be predominantly a 0. I mean, it could be great. It could be a 0. Most of last year, he was like 3 fantasy points, 4 fantasy points. So Noah Brown is probably going to be a 0. Audrey Estimate could be fine. I'm hearing a lot of like he could get 40% of the carries with a P. Ryan drop. So that would be a pretty decent pick. I I don't understand why this guy didn't go, and I think he is most likely to score the most fantasy points on this list. I do love Dawson Knox, and I think Dawson Knox is this year's Isaiah Likely from last year if Kincaid gets hurt. But we're going to go Rondale Moore because I think Rondale Moore has the most likely double-digit weekly fantasy upside. And that's going to close out the draft. We're going to stay around, and we're going to walk through each team. We'll start with my team. So we usually just start with the quarterbacks, and then we look at the stacks. So we got Dak Prescott stacked up with CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, and Ezekiel Elliott. Wanted to go Tolbert late, but he got sniped. We have Drake May for the running upside. I like the underneath stuff with Javon Baker. I like that possibility there. Daniel Jones we have with Darius Slayton. So a couple of one-off stacks, and then we have the main stack of the Dallas Cowboys. So CeeDee Lamb, Devon Achane, Kyron Williams, Amari Cooper, Hollywood, Dak Prescott, Ferguson, Jalen Warren, Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, Rashid Shaheed, Darnell Mooney, Pat Fryermuth, Jermaine Burton, Roma Williams, or Wilson, sorry. Daniel Jones, Drake May, Javon Baker, Darius Slayton, Rondale Moore. I mean, I'm okay with that team. It's probably not going to be 1.5 million, but if it can, break through in round one, who knows? You just want to get as many through as you can. Next guy up's got Josh Allen, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir stack. Don't absolutely love it. I probably would have thrown in Dawson Knox late just for the hell of it. And then he has Fields with no one. And then he has, I wish my screen would cooperate, Baker Mayfield with Jalen McMillan. Like, okay, just miss me with that team. Then we got Derek Carr, Geno Smith. There was our Tolbert that we wanted. So Derek Carr with Keandre Miller, Geno with no one, and then he has Higgins with Burrow. Next guy up has Lamar Jackson with Andrews. Don't mind it. This guy's got Tua with Waddle. It's a pretty well put together team. Then you add Bateman and Likely. I don't know that you needed Likely, but whatever. Pretty decent team. What is that? The 4? Yeah. And then next up we got Purdy, Love. So 2 quarterback builds. So we got Love and Purdy coming through. Got Luke Musgrave, whatever. Kittle, fine with that. Debo and I. So mainly a San Francisco stack. Not a bad team. Next guy we have Goff, Stafford, McCarthy, Minshew. Minshew, I'm just going to ignore. McCarthy, Stafford. I think he just spent too much on quarterback. Don't love that team. Next up, we got Jalen Hurts with Goddard and Watson. With who exactly? Oh, with Jerry Judy. Yeah, it is what it is. Not terrible. Next up, we got Mahomes. Yep. Yeah. When you went single Mahomes, no thank you. Rodgers next up on this next team. I don't like the Herbert and Gus Edwards, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that. Diggs mixing with Stroud, not bad. Jaden Daniels with Brian Robinson, no thank you. No thank you. And Algier with Cousins, like you're stacking, you're just doing it wrong. 2 QB build. We got Bo Nix with Josh Reynolds. That's what you wanted to hear. Got Kmet with Caleb Williams. Yeah. No, thank you. And the last guy, we already talked about his stacks. Don't know why you added Sam Darnold. So, decent draft. Don't hate it. Don't love it. Could easily see it finishing 6th. Could easily see it moving on to round 2. So, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope everybody again has a nice remainder of your Father's Day, and I look forward to doing a stream with you guys next week. Looks like we're going to have a couple of guys on next Thursday, so stay tuned for that. If you're tuning into the channel, should be Jason should be back, Adam should be back, and we'll see if we can't add another to make it a 4-man booth. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.